into the GOAT Fantasy Football Podcast, Week 13. I'm your host, Jim Neander. Thanks for joining me back with you again. So, Week 13 comes down to it. Maybe you're on the bubble. Maybe you're just trying to squeak into a playoff spot. Maybe you're looking for a bye. Maybe you're trying to increase your seed. And in fact, the matter is, maybe you're out of it and you're just trying to stick it to somebody in your league and knock their ass out of the playoffs. No matter what's going on for you in Week 13, I've got all the info you need, all your starts and sits, all your injury updates. It's time to do it, man. It's Saturday morning. I think it's December 5th, but tomorrow starts Week 13. As I mentioned, the last regular season week for most of your fantasy football leagues. The playoffs are going to start in Week 14 for most of you. So, hey, this is a very important week for a lot of people. Not only that, it's a difficult week out there because a lot of tough matchups, a lot of low over-unders, not a ton of points expected to be scored on the weekend, and that makes those decisions even more important. Got to be making the right plays here. So, listen, today's going to be a no-frills episode. We're going to run a little bit long. We're going to try to get all 15 games on the docket in this episode here. Preview every single one of them, give you the quick storylines, give you my start-sit advice, and get it rolling here and let you go into Week 13, man, because we all need some W's. I've got some teams, you know, I got a little bit of everything. I don't have any teams that are 100% eliminated from playoff contention, but I've got a couple of teams where I need a win and some help. I've got some teams where, you know, I win and I'm in. If I lose, I can still be in. Maybe I need some help. You know, I got a little bit of everything going on here. Point being, I need some wins, baby. So let's get after it. Let's get after all these games here. Remember, you can follow the show on Twitter at GOATFF Podcast. You can follow me at Jim Neander. Easy enough here. So where we're going to get started here, of course, we're going to get started with the Atlanta game here. The Falcons hosting the New Orleans Saints, playing the Saints for the second time in 3 weeks. Storylines are plenty here. We got injuries, man. We got question marks, right? Julio Jones, probably the biggest among them. Questionable with that hammy injury. Says he feels good. Says he's going to be good to go. I think he's going to play, and I think he's going to be a fine option. So, feel good about that. Todd Gurley, questionable with a knee injury. Not necessarily too concerned about Gurley's knee injury, to tell you the truth. I'd actually rather him not play, I guess. Would be a little bit more clarity if you needed to play a running back here. But I'm not happy with the running backs here. So, talk a little bit about this. You know, both defenses playing really well, especially against the run. But New Orleans is a top 5 defense, both against the run and the pass. Just really been locking it down, especially lately. Only allowed 1 touchdown in their last 4 games. I think a combined 28 points allowed over the last 4 weeks. That includes a matchup against these Falcons. So, not really looking great for the Falcons offense here. You really got to hope Julio's in. Let's talk about Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's already a question mark. I mean, if Julio is out, I'm definitely not starting Matt Ryan. I think we all know that by this time now. I'm going to assume that Julio is playing. So, Matt Ryan is still someone I'm going to try to pivot away from. Just not looking for the big game from Matt Ryan. I think there's a few other options out there that they can get on the waiver wire that I might play this week over Matt Ryan. So as we get to the matchups here, we'll talk about those guys specifically. But for now, let's just say that I'd probably be looking at pivoting from Matt Ryan if I could. The running backs here, if Todd Gurley plays, I'm not playing him. I'm not looking to play any running back for the Falcons if Gurley's in, because I don't think he'll be getting a full workload. Let's say Gurley's going to miss the game, which I think is a very real possibility here. Last week with Gurley out, we had Ito Smith and Brian Hill basically splitting carries. I know it was a weird game script. They were up by so many points. But we had Ito Hill getting 5 targets. We had Ito Smith getting 5 targets compared to Brian Hill's 1 target. And I don't know if that's a sign of things to come, but I don't think it's obviously Brian Hill thing if Gurley's out. So overall, I'm going to just stay away from Falcons running backs. Julio, yeah, if he's in, I'm playing Julio. Calvin Ridley, playing him no matter what. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and play Calvin Ridley. He's just too dynamic a playmaker to keep out of your lineup. Hayden Hurst, he got the targets last week, and the way tight ends are, it's hard to say not to play him. So you're probably going to roll him out. The thing is, his upside is limited. He's not really getting red zone targets. He's not getting these big plays, but he's getting enough volume to be in that conversation for back end tight end one, which doesn't really excite you at all. Let's talk about New Orleans. Taysom Hill. The fact that he's obviously a quarterback only in all formats now takes away a good amount of his his attractiveness, right? If you're getting him at another position. Now, he does have a nice, good floor. Obviously, the rushing work gives you that nice floor, so you can depend on him to not, really screw you over and give you one of those awful games. But not looking for a ton of success here. I think he could be, he could be fighting for the back end of that QB1 by the end of the week, but I'm not looking forward to it. Alvin Kamara, it doesn't really matter if we talk about how good he's going to be. You're going to play Alvin Kamara, so let's not really waste time on that. Now, Latavius Murray, that's a little bit more of a question mark because you can play Latavius Murray in this matchup. I think they're going to run the ball a lot. I think he's going to touch the ball 13 to 15 times or so. And so that's going to give you the floor that you need. It's a low upside. It's a very low ceiling here. I don't think they're going to be in scoring position that often. And then you don't know if it's going to be, Hill, Kamara, or Murray. So a little bit difficult there. I do think you play Michael Thomas here. It's very possible you have enough wide receiver depth that you can sit Thomas. You did without him for the first 8 or 9 weeks. And that's what I've been trying to tell people. Like, oh, he's so hard to sit. Is he? I mean, you haven't had him for most of the freaking season. So is it that hard to sit him for one more week? If he scratched up enough wins without him, there's wide receivers out there every week that are going to score 15 points in PPR formats. I don't know if you can count Michael Thomas in for that this week, although obviously he was good against Atlanta last time. So it's a little bit more dangerous, but I'm sure you're going to play Michael Thomas. Not playing any other pass catchers for the Saints. It's just it's too hard to predict right now with Hill. Jared Cook, you got to fade Jared Cook. You got to get away from him in that game. Surprising over/under of 46. Most years these two teams play, and you got a nice fat over/under, but here in this game, not so much. So, all right, let's move it on here. Like I said, we got to keep it cracking here. We got the Chicago Bears hosting the Detroit Lions, an ugly NFC North battle here. So, looks like we're going to get the return, not the return, but we already got the return of Mitchell Trubisky into the lineup. Looks like we're going to get Trubisky again this next week, which is just fine for fantasy purposes. He's thrown 3 touchdown passes in each of his last 4 outings against Detroit, so looking pretty good there. Now, we do have injury news here. So, let's talk about the Bears here. Allen Robinson, just yesterday on Friday, popped up on the injury report with a knee injury. Didn't get too much detail there, but he is questionable going into the game. It's very concerning. Rookie Darnell Mooney, wide receiver for Chicago, is also questionable with a knee injury. So you have some concerns there. On the defensive side for Chicago, Akeem Hicks and Khalil Mack, both questionable. So that can certainly impact their rushing defense, as well as their pass rush with Khalil Mack. Now, on the Detroit side, Kenny Golladay out again. And DeAndre Swift, the news is that he may play. He's still questionable, but they've already said if he plays, he'll be limited, right? Not unlimited like Russell Wilson, but he will actually be limited, and that's no bueno. So, who are we playing in this shit show of a matchup here? Oh, well, I don't like that. I got to stop grabbing that thing or put some WD on that fucker. We got an over-under of 45 here. Chicago given 3 points. So, again, not expected to be a great game here. We got a tough Chicago defense and kind of 2 struggling offenses here. So, talk about these Bears. Yeah, Mitchell Trubisky is going to be one of those guys that people are going to talk about as a streaming option now. If Allen Robinson is, not even close to 100%, that takes that off the table for me immediately. That's it. I want nothing to do with Trubisky if he doesn't have his safety blanket out there, which has always been Allen Robinson. So, got to hear more about that before I even think about Trubisky. David Montgomery, absolutely. He's going to be a mid-tier running back, too, with the volume he has. He had his best game of the year last year. Best game of the year last week. Woo! We got a week off, can you tell? But he looked really good last week, so we'll see if he can capitalize and build on that momentum this week. I do think he's going to be a really good play no matter what because of the volume, the way running backs look right now. And Allen Robinson, I mean, this is all very worrisome to me, right? I mean, if Allen Robinson, plays, I think you play him, right? I mean, I know you're worried. He's just popped up on the injury report, so I'd be worried too. But I think if they say he's active and he's playing, you're going to have A-Rob in your lineup here. If Robinson is out, I think you can look to pivot to one of these other two receivers, being Darnell Mooney or even Anthony Miller. But I wouldn't be excited about that. That's maybe more of like a dart throw sleeper in DFS, right? Mooney's questionable also. I don't know. All of this stuff just leads me to thinking they're going to run the ball even more. I got to wait till Sunday morning to find out. But I'm not excited to play any of these receivers outside of Allen Robinson anyway. Talk about Detroit. Now, I'm not going to play Matt Stafford in this matchup. Galladay's out again. We don't know if Swift is going to be there or not. He's going to be limited either way. And they're just not really playing well, quite honestly. So I'm going to fade him. If Swift is playing, I'm not playing any Lions running backs, right? Because you don't know the three-way split. Could go back to the way it was for a handful of weeks when, he's kind of splitting all the carries with AP and then getting a little bit of the passing down work with Kerryon Johnson mixing in. If DeAndre Swift is ruled out, I'd probably be willing to play both Adrian Peterson and Kerryon Johnson. AP would have more value in standard leagues, but I'd be willing to play him in all formats. And Kerryon Johnson would have only value in PPR leagues. I would not really be willing to play Kerryon Johnson in standard leagues. But PPR or half PPR leagues, I'd be willing to roll him out there. They both would have limited ceilings, but okay floors for both those guys. And then on the outside, I'd be willing to play Marvin Jones Jr. I think he's a back-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3. And TJ Hockenson is basically a must-start at this point at the tight end position. Oh, that's good. That tea, I wasn't sure if it was still going to be too hot, but just perfect for now, which means it'll be cold in about 3 minutes. All right. Let's keep it cracking here. We're going to go to Tennessee, where the Tennessee Titans are hosting the Cleveland Browns. We got both these teams at 8-3. You'd have told me that shit before the season started, that Tennessee and Cleveland would be meeting at 8-3 in Week 13. I would have been pretty freaking surprised here, but they both run their way to success. You've got Cleveland, the number 1 rushing offense. Tennessee, the number 2 rushing offense. Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, Kareem Hunt, all that shit. Oh, yeah. Now, this game is going to be one of those slow games. Not going to be, I don't think, a ton of points put up, a ton of plays played. You only have 5 turnovers for Tennessee. They're going to hold on to the ball. They're safe with the ball. You got, Cleveland running the ball the way they do. They're going to be out to show each other, hey, you think you can run the ball? We can run the ball. Over under a 53. I'm a little bit surprised with this over-under. I've got to tell you, I know that both defenses haven't been great. I just think they're really going to try to shove the ball, run the ball down each other's throats, and I think that's going to affect the over-under. But 53 over-under here, you got Tennessee giving 5.5 points. Man, so who are we playing in these games? Well, we're not playing Jonnu Smith. He's out. Probably the only big injury news here. Looks like he's going to be out for the week, so that will affect some Tennessee plays here. Ryan Tannehill, absolutely you can play him. I think he's outside that streamer talk because I don't know that he's available in enough leagues to talk about him as a streamer, but I think he's a very, very solid play this week to be between 20 and 26 points. His likelihood of being over that is slim, but he's very consistent, and I think he'll have that 22 to 24 point Tannehill type game. Obviously, you're playing Derrick Henry, you're playing A.J. Brown. It gets a little murkier from there. Now, Corey Davis. Let's talk about Corey Davis here. Corey Davis has scored at least 10 points in PPR formats in 8 of the 9 games that he's played this year, making him the number 34 wide receiver in PPR formats. Only one time in those 9 games, though, has he been over 17.1 points. So, great floor, mild ceiling, but I think he's a guy that you can roll out there depending on your roster, for the way your team looks. If you don't need a huge, boom guy, great to have him in there for those 12 to 14 points. You can feel pretty solid about that. So if you want 12 to 14 points, roll out Corey Davis. Now, just for context, the number 35 guy is Jarvis Landry. I'd probably be playing Landry in the same game over Corey Davis if that were my choice. And I think Anthony Fursker, this is the guy that has been getting most of the passing work, for the tight end position for the Titans. He's had some good games. Been keeping Jonnu Smith into, to block a little bit more, some more gadget plays. With Jonnu out, I do think this week that Fursker is not only a good daily, play, but a really good DFS play. I'm probably going to roll him out in some lineups here. Talk about the Cleveland Browns. Baker's been looking better. I don't think I want to play him in this matchup so much. Like I said, they're going to be run heavy in this matchup, but nice to see him playing, with some better weather, have some more opportunities, and I do think he'll have some opportunities to have a decent game in this game. It's just, the quarterback position, a lot of points being scored. That's why Baker doesn't really make it there for me. He's probably, in like the 17, 16 range for me. All right. You're playing Chubb. Absolutely. He's a beast. Hunt, I still think you're playing in PPR. You're playing him in all formats. The truth of the matter is he hasn't been an asset in PPR formats to the extent that we thought he was going to be. He's scoring touchdowns. He's still getting some work. So he's been good no matter in every format. But you thought the big bump would be there in PPR. It hasn't been there. But play Hunt as a low-end running back 2, maybe kind of high-end running back 3 on the week. All right. Jarvis Landry, as I mentioned, you're going to play. He's getting more volume lately, and he's been playing pretty well. So I think you're playing him with wide receiver 2 expectations. And the only other guy I'm probably going to play is Austin Hooper. I am willing to play him. He's not having big weeks. But again, since he's come back from the injury, he's been getting slowly more involved. And I think this is the week where he probably has a better game. And I am going to think he's going to be a tight end 1. Fuck is that sentence? That's terrible. That's fucking terrible. All right. Save me from that bullshit, please. Okay. Ooh, another one of these ugly games here. The Miami Dolphins hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. They don't even have their rookie quarterback, Joe Burrow. They've got Brandon Allen facing one of the tougher defenses in the league. Miami, 2nd in the league in points allowed, 3rd in the league in takeaways. This is not going to be good. It's a blitz-heavy team. They're going to come after this kid. I mean, they are really going to be coming after this guy. Since he was only able to put up 155 total yards of offense last week against the Giants, 11 first downs, just struggled to move the ball all game. Not going to be any easier here against a very tough Dolphins defensive unit. Not looking to play a lot of Bengals here. So, if I've got Bengals on my team, really, I'm not really even playing Giovanni Bernard. I mean, he hasn't been good with mixing out. They're not anywhere near scoring position really at all during the game. Not playing, Giovanni Bernard. As it comes to the receivers here, I still have Boyd ranked above Higgins right now. Most of the season it was Higgins over Boyd. But now that we're without Burrow, I got to look to the short passes. I think he's going to need to get the ball out of his hands, and that leads to Tyler Boyd. Do I want to play Boyd? No. He's still going to be in the far back end, of that wide receiver 3 flex kind of category. But I have him, ranked over Higgins. Sure, Higgins has big playability and touchdown ability, but I'm still going to go with Boyd in that situation. Let's talk about these Dolphins. We don't know at this point if it's Tua or if it's Fitzpatrick. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be Fitzpatrick. They're 7-4, man. This team can make the playoffs. I'd be playing Fitzpatrick, but we'll see what happens. So, if Tua's playing, I'm probably going to sit most of my Dolphins. I want to be honest with you. Not going to be excited to play anybody. This game has an over-under 42.5, I believe, with the Dolphins giving 11. Okay? So, that means that they're not expecting the Bengals to score a lot of points here. What's that implied point total of like 15 maybe? Oh my, that's bad. So, but if Tua starts, I'm not going to start anybody. But I think Fitzpatrick will start. So I like Fitzpatrick here as a very good streaming option. I mentioned some people that I would play over Matt Ryan. Ryan Fitzpatrick is definitely one of those guys. Um, I'd be rolling him out there. Listen, he's playing well this year every time he's got the ball on his hands. So let's talk about these running backs here. Myles Gaskin expected to play. Salvin Ahmed and DeAndre Washington not expected to play. So you think it'll be Gaskin and Matt Breida. Assuming Gaskin is 100%, I'm going to assume it's going to be a Gaskin game. And yeah, I'd be willing to play him. The way running backs are right now, there's not that many guys that are going to give you the expectation of opportunities that you'd have with Gaskin. So if he looks like he's, really ready to go physically, I'm going to go ahead and play Gaskin here. Definitely playing Devontae Parker, no doubt about that. And as long as Fitzpatrick is the quarterback, I am going to play Mike Gesicki. Been, an ugly roller coaster for Gesicki truthers out there this year. But I think he's going to have a big week this week with Fitzpatrick under center. So, keep it rolling. We got a lot of games to get to here. Lots and lots of games. All right, Minnesota Vikings hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. Another low, not as low as I thought. 51 point over under with Jacksonville getting 10. So I think it's a little bit rich. Listen, Jacksonville's 1-10, but they've been competitive. They've been scrappy. And I think they're going to be competitive in this game also. Mike Glennon was pretty good last week. They're going to stick with Mike Glennon. He went for 235 and 2 last week. The first game all season, they didn't have a sack or a turnover. So, I mean, that's good also. I just think they're going to be all right. DJ Chark, limited in practice. I think he's going to play. Irv Smith is out for the Minnesota Vikings. That's pretty much it for the injury news here. So let's talk about these Jacksonville Jaguars. We know the only must-play guy here is James Robinson, running back for the Jaguars. Expect him to have another high volume and very good, solid game for owners. Hopefully he gets into the end zone. That'll put him over the top. Keep him being an RB1 option. Now, Mike Glennon is not on my radar for, streamers. I think, Minnesota's going to stay with a run-heavy, kind of a scheme. Run the ball plenty for Jacksonville no matter what the game script is. So, not looking for, Glennon in this game. I am willing to play DJ Chark, though. I do think Minnesota will come out and score a little bit early. And you're going to see Jacksonville throw the ball a little bit. They're going to take some shots. It was Colin Johnson last week. I think it'll be DJ Chark this week. Now, I mentioned Colin Johnson because if DJ Chark is out, yeah, I'd play Colin Johnson. I mean, I'd be doing it with much, I'd have all my holes puckered a little bit tighter if that were the situation. But I'd certainly be willing to play him. In Chark's absence, I want those big plays. I think Glennon will throw the ball downfield a few times, in each game. So, yeah, I probably wouldn't pivot over to Chenault or Keelan Cole, any of those guys. Tyler Eifert is a decent dart throw. He's getting some targets. And, I might be willing to play him like if I'm a Jared Cook owner and I'm fading the fuck out of Jared Cook, get me off of that shit. Yeah, I'd definitely play somebody like Tyler Eifert over Cook. So, not saying much again right now. But Minnesota, you're playing your guys. Kirk Cousins, again, I think he's kind of same as Tannehill. He might be out of that streaming category because he's been playing pretty good as of late. But if he's available, I'd play him over Matt Ryan also. I hate to pick on Matt Ryan. I'm just saying he's a top option that I'm not in love with this week. And there's other quarterbacks I think have a good opportunity. Cousins been playing really well, and I'd definitely play him over that. Dalvin Cook is a must-start. Thielen, Justin Jefferson is into that must-start category at this point. Don't fool yourself. I will pull up the video from before the season where I said there is absolutely no reason that Justin Jefferson can't just walk into all those Stephon Diggs targets, right? And he sure as fuck has. So he's a must-start also here. Let's not play around there. Now, outside of those two guys, I want to bring up Kyle Rudolph because Irv Smith is out. Hey, I don't want to spend too much time on it because we're busy today, but I had high hopes for Irv Smith this year. Long story short, it hasn't panned out that way. And with him out, I'm definitely willing to play Kyle Rudolph. He'll probably have 4 or 5 targets, including 1 or 2 in the end zone. If that target hits, boom, tight end 1, you're all good with Kyle Rudolph. But I still want to play him anyway. He'll probably have 4 for 45, 5 for 50, and you'll be happy with that even if he doesn't score. All right, let's keep it going here. Let's see more ugly games here. We got the New York Jets. 0-11. It's like, I feel like Eeyore. Well, the Jets are going to play football today. No. Well, they're hosting the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders giving 8.5 points on the road in a 47-point under game. Over-under game, man, that's pretty ugly all around. Not looking for that Sam Darnold bump for the Jets here. What do we got here for storylines here? Well, we got Vegas playing ugly fucking football here. 27 penalties in their last 3 games. That is just not good. And after a stretch where they were absolutely dominant running the ball for a little while there, they've been absolutely craptastic at it the last couple of weeks. 26 rushes for 89 yards a couple of weeks ago. 14 rushes for 40 yards last week in a bad game script game against the Falcons, which was out of hand. Yeah, it's fine. Josh Jacobs is out this week, and that makes Devontae Booker one of the monster, week-winning, playoff-clinching plays for the week. We'll see if it turns out that way. I'm definitely willing to play Booker. I think he's got, RB1 upside all over it this week. No reason to think he's not going to touch the ball 17, 18 times, combined for opportunities, and probably get into the end zone this week. He looked decent with his touches, and I think he's going to have a good week against the hapless Jets this week. So if you're able to snag Booker on waivers, good for you. If you're the Jacobs owner, fantastic. If you weren't, hopefully you got a decent option. I've only got, a couple shares of Jacobs. I didn't get Booker in either of them. One of them I'm fine. One of them, man, I'm still tilted a little bit. I'm not sure who I'm playing, but probably going to wind up being like fucking Tevin Coleman or Matt Breida, some shit like that. I don't know. I don't know. All right. Who are we playing in this game? Who am I talking about here? All right, let's talk about the Vegas Raiders. Am I willing to play Derek Carr? Sure. Is he at the top of my streamer list? No, he's not. I would play probably, Kirk Cousins over him. I'd play Brian Fitzpatrick for sure over Derek Carr. Decent opportunity for him here, but he's been up and down. I'm just not willing to trust it for this week. Like I said, I'm playing Devontae Booker. Let's talk about these wide receivers. It's been a rough go. Nelson Aguilar was hurt. We don't know. Is he off of the injury? All right, looks like he's off the injury report. So I'd be willing to play Nelson Aguilar, but I'm staying away from everyone else. Of course, Darren Waller's a must start. There's been a couple of bad weeks for Waller, but the truth is, he's a must start. So let's go over to the Jets here. Sam Darnold been playing like crap. He's not on the radar at all. Frank Gore has got the running back room to himself. Guarantee you he's going to be started in, let's say, what's the number? All right, I'm going to put it on the table here. Frank Gore will be started in 45% of leagues this week, and that's fine. He's going to touch the ball 15 plus times, catch, maybe 1 or 2 passes, and possibly have a shot at getting into the end zone. It sucks, but we're still talking about playing Frank Gore in week 13 of 2020. And then on the outside here, sure, I mean, you take your shot at either one of these guys, Rashad Perryman, Jameson Crowder. You wanted to say it was Crowder because he had the connection with Darnold before that, right? All the target spamming, but then it didn't come to fruition this last week. So Perryman's been the guy there. I'd probably rank Perryman above Crowder. So yeah, but I'm not looking to play either one of these guys in an ugly game here. Herndon I'm not playing. Let's just move it right the fuck along from this game here. What are we, half an hour in? We got 6 games in. That's really not bad, actually. We're banging them out here. All right. Let's go here. Let's go to Indy. We're not going to Indy because the game's not in Indy. But we're going to go to Houston where the Texans are hosting the Indianapolis Colts. All right, so we got an over-under of 50.5 points here with Indianapolis giving 3 points on the road. We know Houston just lost their big playmaker, Will Fuller for the rest of the season, taking some naughty supplements apparently. Let's see here. So we got Fuller out, but we got David Johnson on track to play. So you got that going for you here. Hopefully if you're a David Johnson owner, maybe you need him. Indy, hoping to get out to a better start here. Last couple of games, they've been outscored 63-28 in the first half, or in the last few weeks. Either way, getting off to a slow start, defense sucking out of the gate, offense not getting going. So they need to turn that shit around right away. Houston, I know Indy's a good defense, but you know Deshaun Watson's been making it happen. Even without Will Fuller, still playing Deshaun Watson. It's, what are you going to do? I mean, you're going to not play Deshaun Watson, right? If that's the argument, then I'm playing Deshaun Watson. So, running back, David Johnson, on track to play. I guess if you've been playing Duke Johnson, then yeah, fucking A, you're playing David Johnson, right? The expectation should be for David Johnson to be better. They haven't been using their running back very much or with much success all season long. But you're hoping that this DJ is better than that DJ, my DJ better than your DJ. So David Johnson, I'm playing him with low expectations. And this one, Brandon Cooks, sure, everybody thinks why not? He should have plenty of opportunity. He has probably more attention on him now, but he's been number one before on a team, and he's really good. The question is there a number two that you can consider? Cooks and Fuller. Is there a number two here? Kiki QT, it seems like he could be the guy. But when he's had opportunities in the past, he hasn't really come through with it. Indy's a hard defense. It may or may not be Kiki, but I'm not going to bet on it this week. So, yeah, I think more than likely, maybe get a little bump up for Jordan Akins. He's had, up and down year. Started off pretty well, and then, had some down weeks. Boom, he had a big week a few weeks ago, and then was just not involved on Thanksgiving night. So that's a tough one there. I do think it's very possible that he gets a bump in targets and opportunities this week with Fuller out. But I totally understand that's, that you could be goosed, right? That is an absolute possibility that you get the goose from him. So, all right, let's keep it going. Let's go to a more fun game here. How does this game, a little lower over-under than expected. I guess it's really not that bad because the Rams are really good on defense here. So, Arizona Cardinals hosting the Los Angeles Rams over under 48.5. Another road favorite here. The Rams giving 3 points to the Cardinals, who have been struggling. Colin Murray's been struggling a little bit. The rumors, the whispers of the shoulder. Hasn't been running the ball very much. I don't know how much that's a shoulder, how much of it isn't. What I do know is the Rams have beaten the Cardinals in 6 straight games. I believe that includes 5 straight in Arizona. So the Rams have their number lately. Of course, the Cardinals are a better team right now. Kyler Murray, only 46 yards rushing in his last 2 outings. Big decline from what you were getting earlier in the season. And the Rams are giving up a league low 17 points per game, accounting for this low over-under. I would love this game to be in the 55, 56 point range over-under, but the Rams D has been very, very stingy. So let's talk about Kyler Murray. Again, this is one of those situations where are you really going to sit Kyler Murray? I mean, gosh. It's close. If you're telling me like Ryan Fitzpatrick or Kyler Murray in this matchup, man, I really do think Fitzpatrick can throw 3 TDs, no problem this week. But that's the problem. When you draft a guy like Kyler Murray, and you had to draft him probably in the 6th round, you're going to play him. So you're playing Kyler Murray. Kenyon Drake, I'm a little higher on this week, maybe because I was a preseason truther, and maybe just because I fucking need it. But I'm a little higher on Kenyon Drake. I think Kenyon Drake is a solid mid-tier to high-end running back 2 on the week with running back 1 upside. I don't see why he wouldn't. I know they're tough to run against, but he'll have the opportunities. Excuse me. He was a little bit more involved in the passing game last week, so I think it's trending up for Kenyon Drake right now. And I think for opportunity, he's going to be fine this week. Chase Edmonds, yeah, he's back to your bench, just not getting it done. DeAndre Hopkins hasn't been great lately. Probably going to see a lot of Jalen Ramsey again. Just hard to imagine swallowing that pill of trying to sit, DeAndre Hopkins, right? Christian Kirk, I think this is a game where you do play Christian Kirk, right? Specifically because let's say Ramsey does manage to, kind of shut down DeAndre Hopkins, right? Let's say he shadows him and he's really all over him and he's just not open. Then the ball's got to go somewhere. That opens it up for Christian Kirk a little bit here. There's a game where you can play Christian Kirk. For me, that's where it ends with Arizona. You know, Andy Isabella, you know, not someone that's on my radar right now. I'm not sure if Fitzgerald's back or not. I'm sure he is. And he did have a good game a couple weeks ago, Fitzgerald, but going to hold off on him in this week. Going over to the Rams here, playing, you know, playing a good amount of Rams. Jared Goff, he's been so up and down, and there's other options, so I don't like him as much as some of these other guys I was talking about. I don't like him as much as Tannehill, you know, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Some of these guys, I'll definitely take over him. Yeah, I mean, you know, Phillip Rivers. Yeah, I'd probably take all those guys over Jared Goff this week. So, not a big fan of Goff this week, although I'll play his receivers. Now, in the backfield, Cam Akers, it seems like we may have seen that transition to him being the number one guy, but I'm still staying away from it for one more week until McVay proves it to me that it's a Cam Akers, you know, it's his ball and it's his job. I can't play any of these guys with any confidence. Playing Kupp and playing Woods for sure, especially with Woods. I like the way they got him involved more last week, a little bit more creatively, letting him, you know, create some yards after the catch. I don't know. I like them getting him involved in a few different levels last week, and I think they'll continue to do that this week. I think that you'll see Patrick Peterson, you know, kind of roaming the field a little bit more. I don't think he's going to just shadow Woods by any means. So I think Woods has an opportunity here for a good game. You know, it's tough to play the tight ends here, right? Higbee hasn't been great. It's been kind of tough for Tyler Higbee. You wanted that breakout. You know, you've had both Gerald Everett getting in his way a little bit, but you've also just had the lack of volume here, right? So in the last few games, I mean, you know, he had that 6-target game against Seattle, nice game there, but then it was 4, and then 2 targets last week, right? He caught 1 ball for 6 yards. It's brutal, man. It's brutal. He had 1 big game early in the year, 3 touchdowns, and it's been nothing good since then. So, got to pass on Tyler Higbee. Let's go to New York, where the G-men. Why am I doing this shit? You know why? Because I always write the games at. I'm always blank at this game. For whatever reason today, I did versus. And so now I'm looking at every game as the freaking home team's the away team. And even when I know where these games are, I'm looking at it. So my brain can't not say it. So, sorry about that. But we're going to go to Seattle here, the other side of the country here. The beautiful Pacific Northwest, the Seattle Seahawks, taking on the New York Giants, which already going to be an uphill battle for the Giants. Now, they may or may not have Daniel Jones. And I got to tell you, the way the Seahawks have been rushing the passer lately, I wouldn't want Daniel Jones hobbling back there. He's going to get fucking killed, man. Seattle's had 22 sacks in their last 5 games after being one of the worst to start the season. The Giants are the 5th worst, giving up 31 sacks this season so far. Just telling you, man, if you got Daniel Jones back there fucking holding his shit like this like he was last week, man, it's going to be ugly, dude. It's going to be ugly. So I think either way you're going to see Josh McCown at one point or another. And I just think it's going to be ugly for the New York Giants here. So, talking about these Giants here, you know, you're probably playing Wayne Gallman because you need the volume, and he's been good. He's been good with the volume, not great. He's been getting to the end zone. So I get it. I hate the way, I think the Giants' offense is going to just be really, really bad in this game to have Josh McCown playing. But, you know, I get it. You're probably going to play Gallman, so I can't tell you not to. The receivers, I'm staying away from. You might get a big play out of Darius Slayton and maybe get enough catches out of Sterling Shepard, but with the expectation being Josh McCown, I'm fading everybody but Evan Ingram on this team. And Evan Ingram is basically because it's a tight end and he's got volume, so he's more than likely going to be somewhere in the back end of the tight end 1 conversation. So I'm willing to play him, but the rest of the G-men I am scratching. Seahawks, we know Russ is obviously must start. Chris Carson is a must start in this game, just easing him in last week, and now we have Carlos Hyde. Didn't practice again. I don't think Carlos Hyde is going to play. He may or may not be available, but he won't be 100%. Travis Homer is doubtful, and Rashad Penny still hasn't, the ghost of Rashad Penny still hasn't shown up yet, so I'm not worried about that too much. I think Carson's going to get a good workload. They're going to be ahead, and I think the game script will lead to Carson getting 20-plus carries in this game, so I love Chris Carson. DJ Metcalf, DJ. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are both must starts, of course. It's very possible that Russ throws 3 or 4 touchdowns and one of the other guys catches one, but I can't predict that. So outside of Metcalf and Lockett, I'm not going to suggest anybody else. I do think an outside sleeper in this game is Jacob Hollister at tight end. He had another, I think, 5 targets last week. Wasn't great with them by any means. I just think he's one of those guys. Again, if you're like a Jared Cook owner and you're looking for a sleeper or you're in DFS and you want to spend rock bottom dollar on somebody that could have a game, I think that could be Jacob Hollister. So, keep that in mind. Don't say nobody said anything. All right, Green Bay. Let's go to Lambeau where the Packers are going to host the Philadelphia Eagles, man. And the Eagles, shit, every week you watch them and it's like, fuck, this team is bad. How are they this bad? I know their offensive line has been just decimated, and that has a big part to do with it for them, but it just seems like nothing is working for them right now. The over-under here is 48.5, with Green Bay giving 8.5, and I think that's even a little generous. I think Green Bay's going to put up some points here, baby. Let's talk about the Eagles first here. What do we have? Aaron Rodgers is 19-3 in his career at home in December. I couldn't find that many great talking points here, so I figured I'd bring that one up. Right, that seemed good. Aaron Rodgers dominant. If you thought, oh, this is like a trap game, I don't think so. The weather's going to be nice here. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to fucking have a big old game here. Just put himself back into that conversation here. He should be an MVP candidate. I really have no reason to believe that he's not. So Philly, who am I playing in Philly? Not Carson fucking Wentz, that's for sure. Absolutely not. Miles Sanders, yeah, you're playing Miles Sanders. It's tough. He hasn't been good, and he wasn't involved last week, but he was very involved 2 weeks before that. He got plenty of touches, and maybe if they're behind, the game script here might lead to that 4, 5, 6 reception type game that you really haven't gotten from Miles Sanders this year. And that can lead to that first, kind of big, or maybe second, I think he had one big game. It can lead to that second kind of big boom game for Miles Sanders that his owners, really deserve, right? We deserve that. You need a little payoff for drafting this fuck at the end of the first round or the beginning of the second round. So, no offense, Miles Sanders. I love you, bro. That's why I got shares of you. Let's go. Let's give it to me this game. I think he's got a good chance of having a good game. I have him as a high-end RB2 in the 15 range or so for me, and it could be higher than that. So, let's go to the outside here. I think that, Zach Ertz is supposed to come back. We don't know that for sure, but I expect Ertz to come back. Either way, I'm playing Dallas Goedert, right? Whether or not Ertz is playing, I'm playing Goddard. If Ertz is in, I'm probably going to fade him for this week. Philly's been, Philly's been kind of, easing their guys back in from injury this year, and they've had plenty of easing to fucking do. Lots of injuries there. So, I think I'm going to just go ahead and give him a week to chill, and then go from there. I am willing to play Jalen Reagor. I assume they're going to be behind and having to throw the ball. And Reagor hasn't been great, but he was still targeted 7 times last week. And so between Fulgham, who seems to have disappeared from the game plan, Alshon Jeffrey, who I'm never trusting again, and Jalen Reagor, I'm playing Reagor. I don't have huge expectations, but for me, he's a back-end wide receiver 3 with sneaky wide receiver 1 upside. I know that sounds crazy. Just saying, he could be targeted 10 plus times this week. They're going to be behind. Just saying. All right, Green Bay, you're playing your fucking Packers, all your must-play Packers. Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams. Those are the 3 must-start guys. I still think you're playing Allen Lazard. Again, they were kind of easing him back in last week. He still had, I think, 7 targets, and he caught a touchdown. So, yeah, I'm playing Allen Lazard. He's back in my flex or my wide receiver 3 spot. And I'm playing Robert Tonyan. At the tight end position, the way it's been, he's just been too involved and made too many big plays, and he's targeted in the red zone too often to not play Robert Tonyan at this point. So go ahead and get your Tonyan on. Feel confident about it. Feel good about it. All right, let's start getting into some of these other games here. Let's wrap it up. Well, not wrap it up here, but let's move toward the end here. Los Angeles Chargers hosting the New England Patriots here at the 5-6 Patriots. Big win against the Cardinals last week, man. That was a big, big win for them. The Chargers, 3-8, having trouble winning games. They were close again against the Bills, but listen, you're a Chargers fan. All you're thinking is the future is fucking bright, man. Justin Herbert looks great. He's going to break a bunch of rookie records this year, even without starting the first game. And they're going to be looking great going into next year. Listen, Justin Herbert, I think I got one keeper league where I have him. I got him as a free agent, and I have some other great draft picks, but Herbert in the 17th, man, for a guy that could be top 5 next year, I don't know. All right, let's talk about these Patriots. Who am I willing to play? Man, not a lot of people on the road here. I mean, Cam Newton does not have my trust right now. It's just too hard. It's too hard with him, man. You say you want to play him, and I don't know how you can, right? So I'm going to fade Cam Newton this week. I guess the best scenario for him is that Herbert, starts throwing touchdowns right away, and they're playing from behind, and so they have to kind of throw the ball. And that's what fantasy owners can hope for from Cam Newton. But I'm not going to buy it this week. I'm going to fade Cam Newton. I'm willing to play Damian Harris. He's definitely better in standard than he is in PPR. But then you saw James White get 2 touchdowns near the goal line last week. So that part sucked. And then Sony Michel may chunk in a little bit this week. So you're starting to get worried about Damian Harris. I'm willing to play James White because even though he didn't have the targets last week like he usually does, he all of a sudden was getting goal line work. So you don't know what to expect from these guys. The ceiling is very limited for both of them, but they're somewhat trustable in a decent range there. So it's hard to go against them. On the outside here, Jacoby Myers, I'm still willing to play in that flex, back end wide receiver 3 place, but you're not feeling great about that either. And that's it for pass catchers. I'm not looking at anybody else on the New England side. Now on the Chargers side, I'm playing Chargers everywhere. I'm definitely playing Herbert. I know you're thinking, is it the Patriots? Is it a good matchup? I know they've been missing Gilmore for a long time, but the fact of the matter is, Patriots are giving up the second worst 7.6 yards per attempt on the season this season. And Herbert's been killing it. They just got a huge weapon back in Austin Eckler. I think the offense is going to hum along this week against New England. Now, so you're playing Herbert, you're playing Austin Eckler and his 16 ungodly targets last week. Eckler owners are feeling it right now, baby. You're feeling that juice. You love it. Now, to add to that a little bit is Kalen Ballage. He's going to be questionable this week with an ankle injury. So we don't know his availability. That might, that could take away some goal line opportunities, maybe some first and second down work if Ballage is in. If Ballage is out, I think that just helps, Eckler even a little bit more. But he's a must start anyway. If Ballage is out, would I think about starting Joshua Kelly? No. No, I would not. Keenan Allen is a must start. I think Hunter Henry is a must start at this point. He's getting the work. You got to have him in there. The bigger question is Mike Williams, and that dude is like just throwing the dice every single week. You don't know what it's going to come up with. I would be playing Mike Williams this week, personally. I have Mike Williams inside my top 36, so to me, that's a start. I'm playing Mike Williams, but I get it. The bust possibility is real, man. It's real. All right. Let's start moving into some of these night games. Sunday night. We have the Kansas City Chiefs 10-1 hosting the Denver Broncos, the quarterback full Denver Broncos finally. Let's just put last week behind us and move into this week because I actually really like some of these Broncos here. What do we have here? Unfortunately, the Broncos lost their top cornerback. Went on IR this Wednesday with a foot injury. Will only make it easier for the Chiefs to run up and down the field. And by run, I mean throw. All over the fucking place. Mahomes, another 460-something and 3 touchdowns last week. No interceptions. The guy's an absolute beast. So, let's talk about these Denver Broncos here. Drew Lock will be back under center. I like Drew Lock a lot this week. Drew Lock might be my top. With Ryan Fitzpatrick, Drew Lock might be my top streaming quarterback now. I know he's been up and down. I know he hasn't been great to start games, but you have to assume they're going to be down points. Let's say they're not down. If they're not down, it has to be because they're scoring. Some, right? If they are down, then he's going to be chucking the ball around. I think Jerry Jeudy's going to be playing. Expected to play. Philip Lindsay is still questionable. It'll help them if he's in, but either way, the offense will be what it is. I think Judy's the bigger problem, if he's out for Drew Lock, obviously. So, I think Judy's going to be healthy and ready to go, and I think Lock is a really good option this week. So, I like playing Drew Lock. I like playing Melvin Gordon this week. I think the receptions will be there. If Lindsay's out, then Melvin Gordon is an absolute must start. But even if Lindsay is available, I think Melvin Gordon is a very good start. Lindsay, he'd be a desperation play. With the injury plus, Gordon getting the passing down work, for me, Lindsay's out of my starting lineup. Going to the outside, I want to play Jeudy this week. I understand there's lots of really good wide receivers, but again, in a game where I expect Denver to be down a decent amount of points and multiple touchdowns, they're going to be chucking the ball a lot that second half. I think that's good for Jeudy. And Tim Patrick, who I'm also looking to play. Noah Fant, play him as well. I can't believe I'm saying it. Just get your freaking Broncos out there, all right? What's the line here? 14 points Kansas City's giving. Very nice. Over, under a 51. There's still some points on the board there for Denver. KC, this is easy. You're playing your Chiefs. Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, these guys are all must-starts, right? The question marks are Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You're playing Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Again, if the game script is like I think it's going to be, the rushes should be there in the second half. So I think you want to have Edwards-Helaire out there. Lev Bell, I haven't recommended playing him since, I believe, the Jets game, whenever the hell that was, and I'm not going to recommend him since. So sit Lev Bell. Outside of Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, I'm not going to take the chance on Sammy Watkins or Mecole Hardman. There's just too many mouths to feed. The pie is huge. It's the biggest pie around, but you still need a piece of it, to eat. And, there's a lot of hungry mofos trying to eat that pie. So, what do? For me, I make sure I play all the must-start guys, and I fade everybody else. All right. Let's go to the Monday doubleheader here. The early game. We got the Washington football team taking on or traveling to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers here. We got a low over-under 43 points. Pittsburgh giving 7 points here. And we got two really good defenses. Listen, there are two stubborn defenses that really do not like to give up points. Don't like to let other teams sustain drives. That's what they do. So we'll see what happens here. We'll see if the offenses can break through, or if it really is just a grueling grudge match. Let's talk about the football team here. Alex Smith, not on my radar, of course. Bigger question, are you playing running backs against one of the toughest matchups for running backs? I think you are. I think you're playing Antonio Gibson for sure. The fact is he's getting all the high, value work around the goal line. Whenever they get there, it's Gibson. With the big game against Dallas on Thanksgiving, I think maybe, he's arrived now, right? And maybe it'll be like the surefire number one. And maybe that gets him a few more of these third down, plays where he gets these catches instead of McKissick. McKissick's been trending down. Gibson's trending up. So I'm playing Gibson and I'm fading McKissick. I don't like it here. To the outside, unfortunately, Terry McLaurin, scary Terry, is questionable with an ankle injury. Got to wait to hear more about that now. Well, let's say if McLaurin is playing, I'm playing McLaurin. For me, he's just matchup proof. He's injury proof until I see otherwise. I'm playing Terry McLaurin. If McLaurin is out, yes, the ball has to go somewhere. But I wouldn't be willing to play any other Washington wide receiver. If you twisted my arm and made me play someone, it would be Steven Sims Jr. would be the guy I would pivot to. But I wouldn't be looking forward to it. In all likelihood, if Terry McLaurin's out for me, that gives a slight bump up to Antonio Gibson, a slight bump up to Logan Thomas, who then would become somebody I'd want to play. And I think McKissick also becomes more valuable in PPR because they'll want to have him out there. They'll need some pass catchers, proven pass catchers, and I think they'll get McKissick out there. But we'll see. I think McLaurin's going to play. Fingers crossed. I love me some McLaurin, so Let's hope he's all good. And the Pittsburgh Steelers. Listen, this is not a easy. Oh yeah, you play all your Steelers. Washington is not an easy team to throw against, quite honestly, or run against. Now, would I be willing to play Ben Roethlisberger? Yes, I would. Is he, he's not above Ryan Fitzpatrick for me. So, if we're looking at it that way, I'd play Ryan Fitzpatrick for sure. I just mentioned Drew Lock. That's probably where I cut it. I don't think I can play Drew Lock over Ben Roethlisberger. So for me, I'd have it at about that line, but I do have them both over Matt Ryan to keep going back to that well. Just so you know, James Conner. I don't know what to do with this guy right now. Washington's really hard to run against. I think if you can, I think you're fading Pittsburgh running backs. It's going to be hard to do that, but I really think that's a smart move. So if you have the opportunity to, if you can, I think that you're fading your Pittsburgh running backs, James Conner and or Benny Snell, whoever it is. I think it's going to be James Conner, obviously, in this game. You're going to fade. And then, I'm playing the receivers. Juju's getting good volume. Deontay's getting crazy volume. And, he's missing some, but that's fine. And Claypool always has the playmaking opportunity. I think they're going to need a big play here against a stingy defense. So I think Claypool is a prime candidate for a standard scoring league where he might only have 2 or 3 receptions, but that could be 70, 80 yards and a touchdown. I kind of see one of those games for Claypool. Low volume, but a big play in there somewhere. And then Eric Ebron, I'd be willing to play, but for me, he's another one of those, just, throw him in a cup with the rest of the tight ends that are in that 8 to 15 range and throw one out there, see what happens. This game's going to be interesting. 43-point over-under, and I think the points might go a chunk above that. One of those games where the defenses are so good that something has to kind of give, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm reading something that's not there. My tea leaves are all fucking weird, maybe, but I don't know. All right. What do we got here? We got Buffalo. Is this at San Fran? I don't know. I don't even know how to read it anymore. I don't even know if I messed up some of those. Who knows, man? Who knows? All right, this is in Arizona. That's right. San Fran's going to be playing in Arizona for a few weeks due to the COVID regulations out there. And so San Fran is going to be hosting the Buffalo Bills from Arizona. Looks pretty nice here. So, what do we got going on here? Injuries. Everybody's kind of back and good here, right? Brandon Ayuk is good. Tevin Coleman seems to be good. Everybody seems to be back for San Fran that we expect back at this point, right? Not Garoppolo or Kittle. But most of the guys we're expecting to have back at this point are back, so that's good. We have, let's start with Buffalo here. We had some must-starts in Buffalo. You must start Josh Allen. You must start Stephon Diggs. And that's it. Those are the only must-starts. Zach Moss is way faded again. He's really struggled. Devin Singletary's looked better and could be played, but shouldn't be played. You should stay off of him. San Fran's defense has been getting better. They're getting healthier. They're playing better, and the fact is they're going to throw the ball a lot in this game. Now, can I play Cole Beasley? Yeah, he didn't have the volume you wanted last week. He got saved by the touchdown being thrown, but the fact is Buffalo didn't throw the ball many times last week. I think Allen only attempted like 24 passes. Very, very unusual for them. It wasn't a game where they ran the ball a ton. Just kind of the way the game worked out. The Chargers attempted 50 plus passes, so more than double the passes Buffalo did. Just a weird game script last week. So I do like Beasley to go back to his usual high volume ways here. The sneakier guy here is Gabriel Davis. Caught 3 of his 4 targets last week, 79 yards and a touchdown, and might be in that John Brown type role right now. Brown's on IR. They need that deep threat. And they have a deep threat obviously with Diggs, but that other deep threat on the other side of the field there. And it could be Davis. For me, that's more of a sneaky DFS play. But, if you're one of those, if you really want to just, wow people with your risk-taking ability, then, yeah, go ahead and play Gabriel Davis. But, I think you're holding. I'm just bringing him up there. Talking about Seattle here. Talk about San Fran. Nick Mullins holding off on Mullins. He's been playing okay. And Buffalo's been, you know, you're able to throw on Buffalo, but I'm still holding off on Mullins. Playing Raheem Mostert for sure. You know, I expect him to be more involved this game, even though Tevin Coleman is going to be back, and I do expect to be used a little bit. I do expect it to be a pretty good game for Raheem Mostert. And going to the outside here, Deebo Samuel's the only must-start option on the outside here. He is the number one wide receiver for qualifying wide receivers in yards after the catch with 12.9. He catches so many of his passes near the line of scrimmage. It makes that stat even more impressive, in my opinion, that he can navigate the sea of big bodies right near the line of scrimmage to create those plays. So Deebo has got to be a must-start in your lineup. Brandon Ayuk's a can start, right? You know, Brandon Ayuk for me is a back-end wide receiver 3 high-end flex play, especially with Deebo more involved right now. I think that, you know, hurts Ayuk a little bit, but I think you can play him. Those are the two guys I would even consider playing. Jordan Reed, you know, listen, the targets were there last week. I think it was 6 of them. So he's as good of a dart throw as, I guess, any of those other tight ends, like I said, between that 8 and 15 range. I would stay away from him. I am just Reed averse. I just been bitten too many times in the last decade by Jordan Reed. So I just can't recommend it. And man, we did pretty good here. We just went past the hour limit. And we got our last game here. Baltimore and Dallas in Baltimore here. So we've got Dallas Cowboys traveling to Baltimore. Hopefully Baltimore's all good with their situation here with COVID. We get some of these players back. We know J.K. Dobbins is good to go. And, you know, I think we're expecting Lamar Jackson right in this game. No reason not to. Hopefully, because we know Robert Griffin is gone again. Now he got injured. He plays one game. He gets injured. It's kind of his thing, it seems like. So, all right. Andy Dalton-led Cowboys. Let's finish strong here. The Andy Dalton-led Cowboys. Oh, what are you doing with these guys? I'm not playing Andy Dalton on the road against Baltimore. Just not happening. The bigger question is Zeke. And again, it's, you know, not the situation is different with Kamara, right? But you're equally as concerned because these guys are supposed to be your bell cows, your number ones, and they're not right now. But it's also hard to imagine benching them. So, yeah, I mean, my assumption is you're going to have Zeke Elliott in your lineup. He's not going to be a RB1. He's just not going to be. You know, I don't see it happening. So you're playing Zeke Elliott, but you know he's going to be an RB2, maybe an RB3, right? Pollard, you know, is just a dart throw, you know, for a big play. And on the outside here, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, you know, I think you can play both Cooper and Lamb with, again, limited expectations for ceilings. If I was playing one, I'd be playing Amari Cooper. And I'd be playing him hoping for back-end wide receiver 2 numbers, but expecting wide receiver 3 numbers. And for CeeDee Lamb, I'd be hoping for wide receiver 3 numbers, but expecting back-end flex numbers. So not good, not good. Dalton Schultz is playable. Same thing. Get all those tight ends. Throw them in, throw them out. For me, he'd be, you know, just outside my top 12 for tight ends. So I'd probably rather play Logan Thomas and Eric Ebron in the other game we just talked about than play Dalton Schultz this week. What do we got here? What's the over-under here? I don't see anything, so oh well. All right, Baltimore. Who are we playing for Baltimore? Well, now that we know J.K. Dobbins is back, I really don't want to play anybody, assuming that they're all 3 going to be back. I haven't heard about Mark Ingram yet. So let's say Mark Ingram's out, which right now seems like it might be. You have J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. Between the two, I'd want to play J.K. Dobbins, but I'd be expecting, you know, at best, you know, mid-tier RB2 numbers. So that means, yeah, he's startable. You're going to play J.K. Dobbins, and I'd be fading Gus Edwards. Now, on the outside here, we don't know who we're getting back and who we're not. We finally had Hollywood Brown getting involved, and it's not a very high-scoring week. So maybe in a week where wide receivers aren't going to be as good as they are in a lot of other weeks, you could look at, you know, Hollywood Brown as being playable. I don't know. Kind of same thing with Mark Andrews. You know, if Mark Andrews is in, you're playing him, that's for sure. Even though it's been a little up and down, but if Mark Andrews is available, you're playing him. So, I don't know. I think the only must-play guys here are, you know, Lamar Jackson, right, for sure. And that's really it. Lamar Jackson's a must-play. J.K. Dobbins, you should play. He's going to be a good play, not a must start, but a good play. And that's probably it. If Mark Andrews plays, I'm playing him. And yeah, Marquise Hollywood Brown, I'd be willing to take a shot at, especially if they're a little bit shorthanded at receiver. But I already did the Marquise Hollywood Brown thing this year. I'm not looking to get right back on that train. So, that's the last game. We got all 15 of the games in. Now, that does it for our episode today. That does it for the week. But I will be back. The GOAT will be back for the fantasy playoffs here. Not going anywhere, man. We took that week off for Turkey Day. Had to do a little traveling. But we are back, baby. So we'll be back with you on Monday to go over all of Sunday's action. Kind of let you know if there's any more news heading into Monday or Tuesday night's games. But listen, just before we get out of here, good luck to everybody here. Anybody that needs a win to get into the playoffs, I hope you get it, man. Hope you make all the right calls. Hope you get all the points, all the W's. Let's get into those playoffs, everybody. Get in there. Get ready to kick some ass last week, all right? So, for the GOAT, have a great one, everybody.